Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to a very, very special extra interview of Final Cut. Today, I'm joined by an actor who is the original Black Power Ranger and probably the coolest Black Ranger there ever was. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere and greatest honour and privilege to give you, from every 90s kid's childhood, Walter Jones.
Hey, what's up, Dino?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
Man, I'm well. I'm blessed.
And bless you, mate. Right, so I suppose the first question inevitably is, how did you get started out in acting?
Well, you know what? I was motivated by a lot of different things. One, my father was a minister, so I would go to church with him when I was a child, and I would see how charismatic he was in front of people while I was preaching about the Bible, and he was powerful, and I kind of wanted to emulate him. So, you know, I began to kind of emulate him in church, and then I guess some of the drama from that carried on with me. So I entered drama classes. I was in the drama club. I did acting classes and did stage plays. I played Martin Luther King once. I did a number of different things and got a scholarship to go to college for acting. So I went to School of Performing Arts called United States International University, School of Performing Visual Arts. There's actually one there in England, in fact.
Oh, really?
And yeah, there is one there. So I got a degree in musical theater, a 4-year degree, a bachelor's in fine arts, and then, you know, hit the world as an entertainer. So I worked on cruise ships for a number of years, traveling the world, which was an amazing eye-opener because I had never seen anything coming from Detroit. I had never traveled on a plane. I had never done anything. And suddenly I was in the world, in Mexico and Alaska, and, you know, going to places like Spain and Brazil and just islands all around the South Pacific, Australia, all these different places. Opened my eyes up to a lot of people, and that was amazing. And then I said, well, let me get LA a shot. So I got to LA, and I started auditioning, got an agent who sent me out on different, projects. I did Star Search with Ed McMahon and Lost. And then I got a call one day for this show called Phantoms. My agents called and said, hey, we got this TV show. They're going to be doing 40 episodes. You'd be a series regular, you play a superhero, and it's called Phantoms. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely interested. Well, they want to see you. And at the time that she told me, I was actually on the way to Florida. So I was going to miss the audition. And I did. I missed the audition. And when I went to do Star Search with Evan Man, I lost. And I came home, and I got a call from the agent again. They said, yes, actually, they still want to see you, so you go in tomorrow. I went in, I kicked butt, and about 2 weeks later, I became an actor on Phantoms, a series regular, which turned you to Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. And that was my first job with television.
That is quite the norm, isn't it? Because I seem to remember reading somewhere that Power Rangers was actually Amy Jo Johnson's first acting role as well.
Yeah, we were all fairly young. I think, I'm not sure where everybody was from. I know Austin wasn't an actor, and David was an actor. David was pursuing acting. Amy Jo was definitely pursuing acting. I was pursuing acting. Austin was more of an athlete who took a dare and to audition and ended up being charismatic and martial arts savvy and was able to get the part along with some help. And but we were all young, so it was our first role on television, which was very exciting and very lucky for us, considering that we ended up having the #1 kids show in the world.
Yeah. And I'm not ashamed to say I was actually one of them who used to watch it.
You love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that most of my fans are taller than me now.
But probably still not as cooler as you are.
Well, you know what? They're all going our own cool factors. I think Dino's doing a good job. What do you think?
I think I am. Just moving on to the inevitable subject, Power Rangers. You got the role of Zach Taylor. How excited were you to get that part?
excited. I was very excited to get the part. It was a part that fit me to a T. I grew up in a single family household. Where my mom and dad divorced when I was 4, so I was the man of the house since I was 4. So I was responsible for caring for my mother and my sister as the man in the house. And regardless of how small I was, I walked around with that feeling of duty. So in my life as a child, I hated bullies. I hated people that picked on smaller people. I hated guys that picked on women. And I often would speak up or try to come to the rescue if I saw something like that.
Yeah.
So when it came to Power Rangers, I was able to bring that to the character. I was already a martial artist. I was already a gymnast. I was already a dancer. So creating the form of Hiphop Keto, which was my form of martial arts, was innate for me. It was like, I could put this together.
Mm-hmm.
I have all these skills and I'm creative and I can put this together, and I found a way to make it all work, which was exciting for me and apparently for everybody else. And since I hated bullies, it fit right in. It's like, when if the bullies Broken Skull stepped up and messed with the girl, my innate reaction is to step up and protect them. And of course the girls can go, no, Zach, we got this, which was impressive because you're like, all right, yeah, we'll step back, and the girls will show what they can do, and you were like, yeah, they don't really need us, but I'm always going to be there if they do, you know what I'm saying? So I think that energy of the character came through to me, and it made it easy for me to encompass the character of Zach.
One thing I always love about Bulk and Skull, they was good in the tough department, but they always were a bit slow in the brains department.
Oh yeah, definitely. They get it.
Yep.
But immensely funny. They really carried their own weight in the show. I mean, seeing that they were the comedy of the show or whatever, they were in so many episodes, and they were beloved because even though they were bullies, there was something lovable about them. They were, they were a little daft, but so was Goldar.
Yeah.
And Rita was kind of crazy too, So somehow we were the smartest people on the planet.
Now Zach did. A lot of people might not know this, but Zach did Hiphop Keto, which, if I'm pronouncing this right, is like a capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial arts combined of dance, aerobatics, and music. How difficult was that to learn and do?
It was something I created. So Hiphop Keto is not an actual form of martial arts that existed. It was fictional, and part of my audition process was they wanted to see if they could help somebody that created, because hip hop was very prevalent at the time in 1993. So they were like, we got to add some element of hip hop to this, and it was weird for me because here I was with all my friends, and we get it to Jeopardy, and there's putties coming, and everybody's fighting for their lives, and all of a sudden I'm dancing. So it couldn't be that I just started dancing. I had to implement it into the style of dance, like capoeira. Like capoeira is not just dancing, but it's a style of martial arts where you flow through movements that's very dance-like, that gives you the ability to catch someone on guard, or motivate them to come in where you already contemplate your movement away from them.
Yeah.
So it was. I learned a lot about I drew from like Jackie Chan and various other martial arts that I watched on TV. I thought, the trickery of it. So here's my hand, but I'm not going to hit you with my hand. You're going to follow my hand as I do a waterway, and I'm going to kick you with the foot. You don't know where it's coming from, but I got your attention over here, and I'm going to hit you with that. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was cool. I also like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali would always, when he would fight, he would shuffle his feet.
Yeah.
It was basically a dance, and it would throw people off because they're not sure where the next move is coming from. So I had to create that, and it was one of the most challenging and fun parts of the character for me, is creating that form of martial arts.
Can you still do it?
Yeah, I still do. I can still do a lot of the things that I did.
Yep.
Because it was something that I was making up as I went. It's not like it was. It's not like there's definitive techniques. It's more concepts and practice. For instance, they would say, okay, is that Walter? That's going to do a kata, a hip hop keto kata. So you got to figure out what you're going to do. So I'm like, all right, well, let me think. For martial arts, I know how to do a regular kata. I know that I would come up, I would stand attention, I would bow in, and then I would pretend to fight imaginary people around me. And so I had to do that. I had to think, okay, so there's somebody in front of me. They throw a kick at my face, but I move away, which looks very dance-like, but I come back with a kick. Now, with spin, I'm going to finish that kick or that combination of kicks and punches, and then as I come out of that, I'm going to dance it to another position that makes you ready for the next person. So that is what hip-hop keto kind of became.
Yeah.
Transition. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you left the series. It's on record. I'm not going to go into that because it's been and dusted, so no point talking about it. If you would have stayed on, how many more series would you have liked to have done?
Wow. Well, I definitely wanted to do the movie.
Yeah.
And I think I was enjoying myself in the show. It wasn't that I was tired of being on the show and I needed to leave. I just got tired of being treated unfairly. The show is not a non-union show, and we believe that it should have been a union show because it made $1 billion in the first season. And after the first season, they continued to make a lot of money. And the second season, and just if it was union, then it would have been fair for all of us. And I don't know, I probably would have stayed on. It would have been. I would have voted until it was done. Or until they were done with me. I never wanted to leave the show. I just didn't want to keep being treated unfairly.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Do you still see any of your old castmates?
Yeah. Well, actually, we see each other quite often in the Comic-Con scene, but because of coronavirus, we're not around each other as much. David is still here in Los Angeles, but again, because of coronavirus, we're all kind of maintaining our distance and so forth. But we congregate online and through social media, and I'm sure, like with any friends that you have, any good friends, whenever we get together, it's the same.
Yeah, your work with Power Rangers wasn't actually finished with that because you've done voiceover for monsters in the same way Bryan Cranston did in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. How do you decide how each monster is going to sound?
You know what? What it was for me is I would look at the monster and I would to give me some kind of a motivation of what I thought that monster would sound like. I mean, often the monsters on Power Rangers were some were scary, some were creepy, some were like weird, and some were nerdy, but mean. So just depending on the monster, when I could see what it was, and I was like, oh, okay, I think this would be a voice that would fit that monster.
Yeah.
And if the person, the supervisor, the director of the voiceover was in agreement with me, then they would go, yeah, we like that, go with that, and maybe give us a little bit more of this. And so, that was the way that would come about.
Yeah. I'm going to say, if you have actually done a lot since Power Rangers, you've done a lot of TV and movies. You've been in White Men Can't Jump, the original Beverly Hills 90210, Malibu, Space Shores, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, NYPD Blue, just to name but a few. So you've actually been quite busy in the last 20-odd years.
Well, actually, yeah, that was very early in my career. Since then, I've done so much more, but it's not all documented. For instance, I do a lot of voiceover work. I work with loop groups. So I've done probably 100 TV shows and various movies, but I'm uncredited for that because it's just work. It's just working with voiceover artists doing in a loop group. So, and looping is this: when you do, whenever you see a television show or a movie, and let's say they're in a bar, but the scene is two primary actors, and everybody's around them talking. Well, those people are extras, and they're not really saying anything. They're improvising, but not saying anything. They're speaking without voice.
Yeah.
And so what loopers do is we go back to the scene and we put the voices into all those characters. So it might be a room with 12 people, and we will give that whole bar different voices. So we get to be different characters, and we have to improvise and try to lip read to kind of see what fits what they're saying and the way their physicality is and their energy. Or if they're fighting, a lot of times if actors are fighting, their actors and their breaths are not really caught on the mic, or they're not caught the way they should be caught. So often somebody that's a looper will go back in and they will put the breaths in and the efforts for an actor. So I've done a lot of that, which has been great. And then also some animation, and I continue to work. I just finished working on a TV show for BET called Boomerang. I'm up for 2 films right now. One called Scream Before You Die, and another one called Memoirs of a Fighter. And I'm also up for another animation series. So, things that I've maintained in the industry for over 28 years. I've been Screen Actors Guild and maintained my career. Although it's not easy, it's not a simple thing. It's very competitive, and it's a difficult line of work to maintain.
Yeah. So, for everyone who hasn't seen you since Power Rangers, is it fairly safe to say you've aged very gracefully?
I would say so. I mean, I think there's a phrase that we say is "Zach don't crack."
I remember that, actually.
Zach don't crack, because I'm still, to be my age, I'm older than most and younger looking. So I've done well. I think I've done well. I've aged gracefully, and I'm happy about that. It is work. I do have to maintain my weight control, and also just try to maintain positivity in my life. So people ask me, how do you look so young? And I say it's cocoa butter and positivity.
That's one way to do it. Just before we finish, if people want to find you on social media, how would they go about it?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media on Instagram at Walter E. Jones, all one word, Walter E. Jones. He's for Emmanuel, by the way. That's my middle name. Walter E. Jones. And also on Twitter, Walter E. Jones. On Facebook, it is also Walter E. Jones fan page or Walter Emmanuel Jones fan page. I'm not sure. But you can find me there. Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, from the coolest Power Ranger that there probably has been, I give you Walter Jones.
Yo, Dino, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you very much for coming on, as always.